I'm going to add to what you said because my first thought on my notes
Go ahead.
was like, why would anyone care to hear my testimony? But in the Bible, like we're told to share it. They did divorce when I was 5-ish. And then they got remarried to each other when I was around 8. And that's when my brother came along.
Oh, okay. That explains everything.
Yeah. And then they got divorced again in 2001. My dad remarried. My mom did not.
Okay. Early faith. Did they have any early faith when you were born? Were they going to church? What kind of church? If not, if they weren't going to church, then they weren't going to church.
So obviously, when I was born, I knew nothing.
Oh yes.
That I don't remember. I was told growing up, like my dad, when he was younger, went to a Protestant church. My mom grew up as a Roman Catholic, so she kind of took the lead in the religious realm and brought her kids to God. And I'm gonna say mainly my sister and I, because we were so close in age. We had to do the Sunday school stuff.
Okay. So at the beginning that you remember, you went to church. You went to Catholic church.
Yes.
Okay. So who attended? Your family? Your dad didn't attend, or your mom did, or what was that?
So my mom would go. I remember back then we would go like on Saturday, like 4 o'clock one, maybe even 5. I don't remember. My dad only went every once in a while, but definitely not, I guess, as much as my mom did. But she wasn't consistent. It wasn't like every Saturday or however that worked.
Saturday, not Sunday.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you said there was a big event in your life at that time. You said your parents got divorced when you were young?
Yes. So, the first time they got divorced, I just remember bits and pieces.
Do you know how long they've been together before they got divorced?
So they weren't really dating, if I recall. They didn't. Well, put it this way: they didn't establish a relationship.
Well, how old were you? You were pretty young.
I was like 8 or 9,
Yeah.
like 3rd grade. So yeah, and I don't know. I guess when you're that young, like, you're not thinking about God and Jesus and that religious stuff.
No.
But as I got older, I realized like Catholics, it's very like traditional, like tradition of saying certain things and like standing, sitting, kneeling, like through the service.
All right. So no Jesus really personal relationship with him.
No, it was. I'm gonna say like for me as I was getting older, he was more like this tool, like okay, like an example, like I would pray, like, please help me pass my test, or please let there be a snow day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was no relationship, and again, like as I got older, I would blame God for like stuff that
your
was
problems.
Happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if stuff didn't go my way, I was very, we'll say selfish. And
did you blame God for your parents' divorce?
So I never really like it. It is what it was. I think as I got older, maybe I learned it affected me in a way. Because at the time, obviously, the first time I was too young to really understand what was going on. I was 18, 18 or 19 when they got divorced the second time, and I don't really remember what I thought. All I know is like looking back, they were probably better off apart. Because there was a lot of abuse and yelling and stuff, and
that's what you remember.
Our household, yeah.
That's not. Yeah.
And I sometimes maybe that is why, like, I mean, we'll get there, but why I struggled in my teenage years, things that were said,
Mm-hmm.
why I felt the way I did, maybe why I deal with anxiety. So,
So let's get into your teenage years.
yay.
Are you still going to church, Catholic, or did you guys quit?
So my mom never really quit. She would go here and there on a Saturday. Um, if we had the option to go with her or not, I would always choose not to go. I didn't. I was too cool for church.
They didn't force you to go.
Not really, but in my teenage years is when I started kind of my attitude started changing toward the rebelliousness. So
Mm-hmm.
there were times where she'd make me go, but I also remember sitting there like not really pouting, but I had the attitude of like I don't want to be here. I wouldn't listen. I wouldn't care what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even really know like what was being taught.
So you had no relationship pretty much with Jesus.
Yeah, no.
No.
I just knew he was there.
And the big event in your life was your parents getting divorced for the second time.
Yeah, I started smoking and drinking around age 14.
Did he smoke and drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My dad was an alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
We'll say. Which is probably what fueled most of my parents' arguments. Were said to me, by my mom, which like I've gotten over, but again, it's part of my story, and I
Right.
think how I got to where I was in my teenage years. Just stuff that was said to me personally affected how I thought about myself. I felt unloved. I felt worthless. I actually hated life. I would write like suicidal poems, just very dark, dark stuff. I would cut my legs, even my wrists, because I remember always telling myself I'd rather feel physical pain than emotional pain.
Right.
Um, so yeah, and during this phase, like I said, my mom and I didn't get along. Um, my dad would try sticking up for me because I remember he heard this one particular comment and like couldn't believe she said it in front of me. I know people grow over the years, and like my mom and I do have a good relationship now.
Right.
But what she said affected me, so I'm just gonna say it. Like my mom said, like my sister and my brother were her favorite because my sister was the oldest, and my brother was the youngest, and then there I am just sitting in the middle, feeling like a nobody. And I remember exactly where we were. We were sitting on the porch, and my dad was, I think, I don't know if they were arguing, but I remember him coming back to the porch at a fast speed and like saying how can you say that,
Right.
and like in front of her. Yeah, I'll admit I wasn't an easy teenager to deal with, but at the same time, if you take my backstory, that led to what I went through. So through, I think it went into my early 20s too, because even I know a lot of teenage relationships don't last, but I was I was hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around with, but I was also looking for love. Like
Right.
I just wanted to be loved, and like looking back, it was weird. Like all the nice guys, like I would push away. All the like jerks and troubled guys is what I was drawn to. And there were times too, like when I did meet someone nice, I had such low self esteem. I would compare myself to other people, like. So this is weird too. Like I've always had my bubbly personality,
Mm-hmm.
even through like the mess I was in, but I I didn't feel like I measured up when a nice guy liked me. Like there's so many other people.
Right.
I felt ugly. I didn't like myself. So then I would somehow like ruin the relationship one way or another. And
You really didn't have an example of a good relationship
exactly
in your family, so
exactly. And then I think well we'll get into when I joined the army. So oh, and this is actually around the time my parents, the second time they divorced.
okay. When you went to college.
Yeah, so I do remember it was March of 2000. I came home because my mom was actually moving out of the house, and it was kind of sad because it was my brother, sister, my mom, and me, and we were like in a circle, just kind of started to cry because we're leaving the house we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my dad and the woman he was seeing were back in the house I grew up in, so I ended up moving back home in with my dad. And I would drive the distance to go to work still. Over time, stuff happened. I ended up quitting that job. Oh, I ended up moving in with my friend. I would bounce
Mm-hmm.
from mom's house, dad's house, friend's house. So I had no stability whatsoever. I tried different jobs, some under the table, like scooping ice cream. um, Ended up, now this is sad, but I ended up moving in with my bus driver that drove our bus in the house I grew up in because I had nowhere to go at this
Your
point.
school bus.
School bus driver,
Oh
yes.
wow.
Super nice guy. He was old, but then when you move in with someone, you kind of learn stuff. So I had to get out of there. So I ended up finding my own. Actually, he knew a guy that had an apartment, so I ended up moving into there. Um, Ended up having to move out of there. Oh, I ended up working again. But then the group I was hanging out with as a teenager somehow like found me. Although there was one kid I kind of stayed in touch with, I guess. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but they were bringing drugs into my apartment, and I didn't know it. Like, I guess I was just dumb and naive, and I didn't realize it until I was obviously older. Like, oh, that's what they were doing. So basically, anyway, the one guy I was seeing ended up stealing my checkbook. I had my rent money in there to pay rent, and when I went to pay rent, it was gone.
Oh.
So yeah, that was just not a good situation. So anyway, then a friend of mine from Hamburg um, offered me to come live up there. So I had to get out of the area because
Mm-hmm.
it was I wasn't getting anywhere in life. So moved to Hamburg, just didn't wasn't home. It just wasn't working out. So I ended up calling my mom, talking with her. I moved back in with her. This is basically where I hit rock bottom and said I'm gonna join the service.
Oh, okay. That's what got you to join the service.
So yeah, hit rock bottom. Went to the recruiting office. Um, Short amount of time because I remember going there. I could leave as early as 2 weeks, and I'm like, yep. So I remember my mom was grocery shopping, so I drove over there and I told her when I was leaving, and like she actually couldn't believe how quick. Um, but I will say, let's fast forward a little bit. Best experience of my life, basic training. So
Yeah.
just to leave was awesome. um, so I went, got to spend basic in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, met awesome people.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I learned like I was somebody.
Mm-hmm.
During this time, I started talking to God, and not in a selfish sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just like thank you for getting me here and stuff like that, but not like it is now.
So how did you learn you were somebody? Was it the military, people you hung around with?
I think it was all because
Oh.
I feel a lot of people there are coming from broken families, and
Mm-hmm.
so like we bonded over that, and then you're bonding just because you're in this experience,
All right.
different experience. And then I always joke with my mom that the drill sergeants yelling never bothered me because I was so used to being yelled at as a teenager that it it didn't phase me, but I loved it. Like I think I love the environment. That's where I ended up fracturing my hip, and I was so close to graduating, and we had to do. I forgot how high the tower is,
Yeah.
but I had to do this tower, and I'm thinking like it was. It was in my groin. It was the pubic bone that fractured. So moving your legs,
Yeah.
it felt weird and it hurt. But I wanted to graduate with the class I came in with. So I did this tower like climbing up and then rappelling down this wall, and I just remember like my friends like cheering me on, and I was crying because I was in so much pain. But when I hit the bottom after rappelling down the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like empowered. Like, oh my gosh, I did this with like a broken or fractured hip, and
Right.
just overwhelming emotions. And so that was awesome. That was an awesome
Hmm.
experience. Um, so then fast forward, I come home for a month. I stayed with my mom, but she ended up kicking me out. I don't know if this was her and I started not getting along.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up living with my friend at the time. Then it was time for me to go to Germany. So my friend and her husband drove me to Maryland to get
Oh
to
wow.
the airport.